Why? Why? Why?
Why isn't it working?
Bob, can you hear me back there?
I can.
Fair enough.
Johnny, can you hear? Nice one. Can you hear?
Why do you do what you do? I had a chance to ask myself that question a year and a half ago, actually 2.5 years ago now, May 18th of 2012. I was over in Moab, Utah with a bunch of my friends who go there every year to ride mountain bikes. And we were on our first ride of the trip. It happened to be the Porcupine Rim Trail. Any mountain bikers here? Do you know Moab? Yeah, we got a couple. It was Porcupine Rim Trail, great ride. We were had been riding about 45 minutes freewheeling down the hill towards the Colorado River overlook. And at that point, the trail crosses a paved road. So I skipped up on the paved road and then back down into the dirt on the other side. And that's when I noticed a little challenge in the trail. I didn't think much of it. I didn't even slow down. I do remember asking myself, I'm either going to have to jump that or go around it. That's the last thing I remember from the ride. The next thing I remember is waking up, looking up at the clear blue sky, still on the trail, but I wasn't on my bike anymore. I wasn't moving. In fact, I couldn't move my right arm. It was paralyzed. And I was about to find out that my neck was broken. Why do you do what you do? I'll come back to that in just a minute, but before I do that, I want to take just a minute to say thank you. First of all, to David here. Folks, I don't know, do you understand what a champion you have here in David Harriman? I go around and I talk to a lot of groups, and I deal with a lot of program chairmen, and none are as well organized as this guy. David, thank you so much for being as good as you are at what you do. It's so easy to work with. Woohoo! Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who are here today, my hat is off to you. You know, Woody Allen says that 80% of success in life is showing up. And as I go around the Denver area and I speak to different civic groups, one of the things that I've learned is Rotarians are the kind of people who show up. You guys have your oars in the water, you're not coasting, you're out there getting the job done. You're the kind of people I like to hang out with. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to spend some time with you today and to be with you as you take just a little bit of time out of composing, rehearsing, and performing the symphonies of your lives. So why am I here today? What do I hope to accomplish on your behalf? Well, the book that David mentioned a few minutes ago sort of rose of its own volition out of the ashes of the Great Recession a few years ago. And even though the recession is way behind us now, as I go around and I talk to groups just like this one, it never ceases to amaze me how many people express the reality that they're still dealing with the aftermath of that nonsense, those dark days. And how so many people still, their lives are just a little bit out of tune. And they're trying to, they're in a place of transition or challenge. And so I'm finding this, it's been helpful to talk about that. So I know that, boy, having just been in this room today, and I look around and I see all these smiling faces and all these successful people, I know that probably doesn't apply to very many of you. But I know that you know there's somebody close to you who it does apply to. So if it's okay with you today, I'd like to spend just a little bit of time talking about how maybe we can restore some of that harmony and inspire maybe a little bit more of a sense of focus about really why we're here, what each of us is doing on the planet. Is that okay? Can we spend a little time doing that today? Yeah, great, thanks. Okay, yeah, thanks. So I'm going to start by telling a little story about one of my friends from the Colorado Children's Chorale. His name is Travis Branham. Several years ago, he heard about a group of young people up in Arvada, in the northwest quadrant, who would like to spend some time expressing themselves musically, but didn't have a vehicle for that. And that's his thing. He does that. So he went up there and formed a choir he called the 303 Choir. It's a non-auditioned situation. Anybody in middle school or high school who likes to sing was welcome to join. didn't have to demonstrate any kind of ability, no auditions or anything required. And so they did that, they got together, started singing, and for a couple of years they sang the music of their youth culture. Rap, hip hop, occasional folk song thrown in for good measure. And after they did that for a couple of years, Travis, being the classically trained musician that he is, decided it would be good for these kids to be exposed to maybe some more traditional stand-up kind of choral music that we're used to doing up at the Colorado Children's Chorale. So he asked me to come in and prepare a set of 3 songs that they would do in their November concert that year. So I did, and I went up there. And now, I had a couple of challenges with that. The first one was to find 3 pieces of music that would be accessible to these middle school and high school kids who like to sing but really didn't have any real training. And the second thing was that the music that I chose had to have some kind of a tie to the Denver area. Travis called this group the 303 Choir. Because everything, this is part of the stick of the group, this is one of the things that made it fun, was everything that they did, that he did for them, had a tie to the Denver metropolitan area. And I feel like I'm going to hit you here in just a minute.
He's
Boy,
trying
I'm trying to
to.
It's all right, I deserve help.
So that was part of my challenge. You know, Travis says all the music that they do had to arise out of the Denver area. And one of the things he does is he gets the musicians, the actual artists, the hip hop artists, the rap artists, to actually go and spend time during their rehearsals and do weekend retreats with these kids. And also the kids can interact with the musicians. So part of my challenge was to find the 3 pieces, and they had to have a tie to the Denver area. Well, the good news was that several years ago, I lived in Omaha. And when I was in Omaha, I sang in a choir that was conducted by a then up-and-coming composer conductor by the name of Randall Stroop. Randall and I became friends. We maintained that friendship over the years. And before he lived in Omaha, he lived here in Denver. He did some of his professional study at Metro State and some of it at CU Boulder. So we thought, how cool would it be to go through Randall's library, his catalog, and see if we could find 3 of his pieces. And we did. Travis and I sat down and found 3 pieces that would work for these kids. Well, the second challenge then was how do we get Randall to interact with these kids the way the Denver area musicians were interacting with the kids? Well, when I knew Randall back then, he was up and coming. Well, he's not up and coming anymore. He has arrived. He's now a very well-known, internationally known composer, conductor, has sold millions, literally millions of copies of his music. So we tried to get his schedule together with theirs. We couldn't do it. When he's not teaching music over in Stillwater to his university students, he travels all over the country to various musical events. But we were able to find a date on his calendar when he was going to be in his home office and we were going to have a rehearsal. So we put together a Skype session. And Randall agreed to come be part of the rehearsal via Skype. So we set the date, we ordered a bunch of pizza up to Travis's house, we had the rehearsal. And the next thing I know, there's Randall Stroop on the computer monitor in Travis's living room, ready to interact with these kids up in Arvada who have no idea what kind of a situation or what kind of an opportunity they have. Well, I tried to prep them for that, and I said, okay, come to this thing prepared with questions that are appropriate for a composer of Randall's stature. They did not disappoint. First question, Randall, why do you compose the way you do? This from a middle schooler. Believe that? That was an awesome question. Well, he didn't miss a beat. He said, it's all about the text. Every composer, when he sits down to write a piece of music, thinks about the text. Every note, every harmony, every melody, every rhythm, it's all about enhancing the text, helping bring out the meaning of the poet for the audience so they can understand what the poet is trying to convey. Next question. Well, Randall, one of the songs that we're going to do is your setting of Robert Frost's The Pasture. Why did you pick that piece, that poem, to set to music? Another great question. Again, he didn't miss a beat. Robert Frost's always been one of my favorite poets. I love that poem, The Pasture. On its face, it seems simple and mundane. The text is, I'm going out to clean the pasture spring. I'll only stop to rake the leaves away and wait to watch the water clear, I may. I won't be gone long. You come too. Well, it's not about going out and cleaning a pasture spring. It's about building and maintaining relationships. And so Randall said, I wanted to create some music that would emphasize the relationship aspect of that and bring out that last phrase, you come too. Well, they asked some more questions, and then we sang the pastor for Randall via Skype, and then it was gone, it was over. What did those kids learn that night about music? They learned it's all about the text, enhancing the text. So here's my first question for you today. Are you enhancing the text as you write your symphony? Are you enhancing the text for your kids, your grandkids, helping them understand what's going on around them? Are you enhancing the text for your husband or your wife, helping them understand the depth of your relationship? Are you enhancing the text for your coworkers, your colleagues, your subordinates that you're leading, helping them achieve more in their chosen life work? Enhance the text. But here's maybe a better question. What text is it that you're enhancing? What text have you chosen? What text are you writing? About a year ago, I was on a layover in Honolulu, strolling along the beaches I like to do on, in the evening. Yeah, I know somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
And I noticed there was a lady walking along beside me, and every few steps she'd bend over, pick something up off the beach, put it into this piece of palm bark that she was carrying along. And I watched for a few minutes. She picked something else up. Eventually my curiosity got the best of me, and I asked, okay, so I got to ask, what are you picking up there? She looked right at me and says, I'm picking up gold. Okay, they had crazy people in Honolulu too. So I didn't have anything else to do. I walked along with her a little further, struck up the conversation a little more, and a few minutes later she said, I got a confession to make. I'm not really picking up gold. I said, yeah, I didn't really think you were. So what are you picking up? I said, diamonds. Oh, crazier than I thought. Well, we went a little further. Turned out she was obviously being tongue-in-cheek. She's not crazy at all. This particular lady had actually started several years before and was now maintaining a high-end $1 million swimwear business in Honolulu that had franchises as far away as Tokyo. Not crazy in the least. Well, we continued the conversation. She ultimately invited me up to the house to meet her husband. Got to know them both. Have really enjoyed the friendship that we've built over the last year. So every time I'm in Honolulu now on a layover, I make it a point to grab a bottle of wine, go up to their house, have dinner with them, Gordon and Iwalani in their house. Over time, one of the things that I learned was in addition to running this international swimsuit business, they're also very successful network marketers. So one of these layover nights, I was up there for dinner, and it turns out that was going to be one of the nights they were going to have one of their home business opportunity meetings. So I sat through the business meeting, and at the end of the meeting, Gordon did something I'd never seen before. He looked out over the group, and the business part was all over, and he said, I'd love it if every one of you joined my organization tonight, but more than that, what I hope for everyone in this room is that you have success in life. And he said, one of the things I've observed in my time doing this is that so often people that I talk with have not taken the time to define what success means. They wouldn't know success if it slapped them in the face. So he says, I've come up with this list of 6 questions that I hope all of you will take home with you. And in a moment of quiet, you'll sit down and answer these 6 questions. And if you'll do that, you'll be able to define your own success. You'll have something to aim for. And I took those 6 questions to heart. I brought them home. I've offered them to civic organizations all up and down the Front Range. And I'd like to offer them to you now. If you're a note taker, this is the time to take out your pen. Gordon said, okay, in a world in which I cannot fail, question number 1, what do I want to do? Well, that's your bucket list, isn't it? Do you want to take a stroll along the Great Wall of China? Do you want to look up at the Eiffel Tower in Paris? Do you want to drink some exotic drink out of a pineapple in Honolulu? What do you want to do before you're done? Question number 2, what do I want to be? That's your legacy. That's how you want to be remembered. He was the best father any 4 kids could ever hope to have. He was a great mentor for the young singers at the Colorado Children's Chorale. Whatever. What do you want to be? Question number 3, what do I want to have? Well, this can be just a little bit ticklish, can't it? We all have an idea of what a reasonable car or a reasonable house to live in might look like. But beyond that, sometimes some of us can get a little intimidated about, well, okay, how much wealth is it really okay to have? What was that movie a few years ago that starred Michael Douglas? He was a big business wheeler dealer in New York. It was all about Wall Street, thank you. And what was his character's name? Gecko, Gordon Gecko, an iconic black hat in our society now, isn't he? And he had this signature phrase. Help me out again. What was that phrase?
Greed is good.
Yeah, greed is good. You know, that's not us. Nobody in this room wants to be thought of as a Gordon Gecko character. We don't want to be thought of as greedy and about accumulating stuff. But when you take question 3 and pair it with question 4, that question 3, what do I want to have, takes on a different flavor. Question 4 is, what do I want to give? Now, I know that you as Rotarians spend an awful lot of your energy accumulating resources, fundraising, doing that kind of thing. Why? So you can plow it right back into the communities that are important to you. I enjoyed, Lee, I enjoyed hearing what you said earlier about Founding Interact and telling me about the Rotary Club downtown that spends so much money tutoring. That's just so typical of what Rotary does. I appreciate you. My hat is off to you for that. But it's hard to give if you don't have. What do I want to have? What do I want to give? Question number 5. How do I want to spend my time? How much time do you have? On May 17, 2012, I was 53 years old. The actuaries would have told me that I had more than 30 years left. I was going to live into my 80s. 30 years left to finish the book that David so kindly mentioned a few minutes ago. To paint my masterpiece, compose my symphony. But on May 18th, lying there on the trail, my symphony laying in the dirt beside me unfinished. My time was up. Why do you do what you do? Maybe more to the point, why are you doing today what you're doing today? Question number 6. With whom do I want to spend my time? I heard it said that 95% of the happiness that we have in this life comes from being married to the right person. I've learned that the opposite is also true, isn't it? 95% of our misery in life comes from being married to the wrong person. That aside, the point of the question is to remind us to gather around us people who will enrich our lives, enhance our lives, help us, encourage us to be the best, most successful human beings we can be. 6 questions define your success. Define your text. I woke up on the trail that morning, my nose and mouth filled with the dust of the Utah desert. It was up to the next group of riders to find me there, initiate the rescue. Chaos ensued. It got me into the ambulance down the hill to the Moab emergency room, did the x-rays where we found out about the broken neck. My arm was paralyzed. They couldn't tell how bad my spinal cord was damaged. They evacuated me on a Flight for Life helicopter up to Grand Junction to put me in an MRI machine. Wheeled me into the MRI machine, did the test, wheeled me back out. Neurosurgeon came over, gave me the news. Yeah, no fooling, Mark. Neck's broken in 5 places. C5, 6, 7, T1, T2. That's the bad news. The good news is there's no spinal cord damage. How's that work? Neck broken in 5 places, no spinal cord damage? Sounds almost like the beginning of a bad joke, doesn't it? Man with a broken neck walks into a bar. Well, I have to work on my delivery. Well, at that point, I was given a great gift from the universe. It's not what you're thinking, yeah. I got to walk away from a broken neck. That's a nice gift. The real gift was that the neurosurgeon trusted me up in the cervical collar and says, for the next 3 months, you cannot move. You cannot take this collar off. So I was given the gift of stillness for a change. And I had the opportunity to sit and think about my situation and ask myself that question, Mark, why do you do what you do? You know, I figured it out. You give a monkey 3 months and enough bananas, he'll figure it out. Oh my. All right, I'm going to have to work on my delivery. But you don't have to take 3 months. You know, it's been great to be with you today. in just a few minutes, we're all going to go back out to our lives, back to our families, back to our businesses. You're going to have great success. But then those challenges I talked about at the very beginning are present themselves. And when they do, I hope you'll think back to my friend Randall Stroop and what he said to those kids at the 303 choir. It's all about the text. Enhance the text. And then I hope you'll think about my friend Gordon in Honolulu and those 6 questions. And as you need to reevaluate why you're here and what text you want to use, you'll think about those 6 questions behind the text. And as you write and then rehearse and then perform your symphony, if you'll do those things, you cannot help but have a remarkable life. And there'll be no doubt in anyone's mind, most importantly your own mind, why you do what you do. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, I have time. Absolutely. If you have time, I have time. Go ahead.
What came first, the words or the music?
Oh, my.
You should have hit that guy.
Answer the question. He obviously wasn't listening. The first thing is the text. The music enhances the text. Yeah, sorry. Any other questions? Yes,
What
ma'am.
was she
Do you
picking
like
up?
peaches?
Do I like peaches? I love peaches. I grew up in Georgia.
Good, I'll be calling you.
Oh, thank you so much. I've got my business card here. Here's my card. Call me. Absolutely.
We do it as a fundraiser for the internet situation.
Oh, wonderful, Jan. Absolutely. What else?
What was she picking up?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. Picking
What was the
up?
lady picking up on the beach?
Trash.
Oh! You know what? She collects sea glass. And she goes out there every day. She picks up white, green, and clear, I think it is. Blue sea glass. And she's got these clear glass canisters all over her house now that are full of this stuff. These beautiful pieces of furniture. Yeah, it's great. And the gold and the diamond, of course, were 2 of the ranks in their network marketing company. Yeah, great. What other questions do you have for me? Anything else I can share?
Are you back on the bike?
Yes, and I got to thank that guy right over there. He was with me on the ride. In fact, on your way out, if you'll look at the picture back over there, there's a picture of them getting ready to load me on the helicopter, and he was standing right beside me. And I got to tell you, he was 18 that day, and I have never been so proud of someone in my life as I was of him that day, the way he held it together and did what needed to be done. But one of the things I tried to teach these guys, I got 4 kids, is it doesn't matter how many times you fall off the horse as long as you get back on one more time. And for 2 years, this guy was after me to get back on the horse. And this past summer, we went out and bought a new helmet. My helmet was shattered. It gave his life for me, literally. And went out and bought a new helmet, and he and I went out to the Highland Canal Trail and took a symbolic ride. And it was a very rewarding experience. Yeah. Absolutely.
Are you still flying?
Yes. In fact, I was. I'm going back to Honolulu next month. In fact, Christmas Day I'm going to fly out, go to Sydney, go to Tokyo. Still do that. Absolutely. Yes.
Any other questions?
You guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being our speaker today.
Wonderful. I'll treasure that.
Thank you.
so much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay.